Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of my tutorial park. In today's episode I'm gonna show you how to build a nice looking log flume. Now log flumes are of course these water rides where guests ride in these logs, and you will find a log flume in most real parks. Now I've also built log flumes in a lot of my parks, and it's pretty easy to make one that looks pretty nice. There's something which was added in OpenRCT2, which you don't have in Vanilla RC2 or RCT Classic, is these steep drops for the log flume. Now the vehicles don't actually have sprites for them. We may see something like that in the future, or you can use a custom log train. But it at least means you don't, for example, have to merge in dinghy slide track or splash boats track anymore. Alright, before I show you how to build one of these, let's quickly name several more handymen after people who commented on the last tutorial park episode. Alright, here you can see the new additions to the handyman squad. If you also want to sweep from it in my park, just leave a fun or interesting comment on this video, and you may get picked out. Okay, for the layout of the log flume, there's a few things which you will almost always see on real log flumes. First off, they always have 2 or 3 drops. Sometimes maybe you'll find 4, but usually it's 2 or 3 drops. And the last drop is always the biggest one. And the last drop is always positioned in such a way that it's near a path, or for one that I know in Tripsville, it's even near a queue, so the guests who are waiting get splashed. But yeah, you'll definitely want that final drop to be near a path, so guests can experience the splash. Something which you will also always see on real log flumes is that there's lots of water under the track, especially in the parts where the water splashes are, or the drops. Because all the water that splashes up, if it all would soak into the ground, you would lose it, and then the park would have to keep replenishing the water. So that's why you'll usually find water under the track, which all the water that splashes at drops gets collected, and that finally gets pumped up again into the track. Alright, I think we can have a station somewhere over here. And then here we'll have 1 or 2 drops. And then finally we'll climb up here. And we can have the final big splash right next to the path here. And then we'll make it return to the station. So also after the last drop, it's probably best to have a short return track to the station. Not too short, but you don't want the guests who are by then probably wet to sit in the log flume boat for much longer after the final splash. Alright, I'm gonna start off by building a station, and I want the big drop to be over here next to the path, so after that we could go with a 180-degree turn back to the station. So, I'm just going to build the station over here. I think I'm gonna make the queue over here, or maybe I'm gonna pass it somewhere under or over the track here and go on this side. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, there's still more than enough space here to make a queue for the ride. So I'm already quickly going to make an entrance and an exit. Let's just make it visible for now. Right, I've built the station a little bit off the ground. It's not necessary, just something which I like to do. And from here there would be a small drop. And then here I think we can have the track move back and forth a few times. Now let's have a little curve here. Another one here. And for example here we could go up. Now we're gonna have a small drop over here. And we can probably have another one here, and then finally there will be a big drop here. Now, something which I like to do, which is mostly based on how the log flume looks in Walibi Holland and Walibi Belgium. Those actually start with the vehicles going up a small lift hill, and then in a little shack here, there will be a turntable. So it will reverse the vehicles, but it will not just make them continue on straight like this turntable does. I mean, this is a perfectly valid element to use if you like that, but it would actually make the vehicles exit at a 90-degree angle. And if you also want to do that, an easy way to do that is by changing the ride type. So in cheats we enable the cheat to allow arbitrary ride type changes. We're going to change the ride into a wild mouse. Let's do the wooden wild mouse. We're gonna just make a really tight turn like so. And we're gonna change the ride type back to a log flume. Make sure clearance checks are disabled. And we'll build another reverser turntable. And then here we can have our first real drop. Now the vehicles will be going reverse here. One thing we'll have to make sure of here is we'll have to go into the tile inspector, hold control and select this turntable, which is a 90-degree angle, and we'll have to make sure that it's below the other turntable piece. So now it's below. And then the vehicles, whenever they arrive here, they will switch to this second turntable. Now this does look a little bit wonky, so just like in the real log flume in Walibi, Belgium or Holland, I would hide this inside of a little shack or building. Now once again, it's totally optional to have an element like this, but it's a nice way to make a really compact curve for your track. Alright, I'm just going to make some more track over here, and then we're gonna make our second drop. Now after drops like this, you'll probably want to have one or two straight pieces of track after it. And for the final big drop, you'll probably want even more straight track pieces. Don't go immediately into a turn after a drop. That would be pretty dangerous and uncomfortable. Alright, when you put a turntable, you'll probably want to have another one somewhere on the track, or else for half of the rides the boat will be reversed and the other half of the rides the boat will be going forward. It's probably better to all have them go forward in the station. So here I'm just going to repeat whatever I did here. Alright, now it's time to make the climb here for the final big drop. As you can see, it's not a really long layout, but log flumes in most parks aren't that long anyway. Now I may have to get rid of this S-bend to get the lift hill up to the height that I want, but I want to have a pretty big drop here at the end. Now I don't know how high this track has to be exactly, so I'm just going to try it out. Now as you can see, we're not able to make steep track as of now. That's because these boats don't actually have sprites for them. So in order to be able to build the steep track, we'll have to go in cheats and enable all drawable track pieces. Then we can actually build steep track. Now I'm just going to play around a bit, see how I have to build it to get a nice and big drop here. I think I have to make it a little bit higher. Alright, this is a height which I'm satisfied with. Now I did have to put an S-bend right after a drop, but I think having an S-bend after such a short drop is okay. You could just imagine this track to go diagonally a bit. We have to build on the grid here, so that's our limitation. But this is satisfactory for me. Now and then over here we have our big drop. As you can see, it's quite close to the path here. I may actually move it a little bit more forward, and then after the drop we have enough space to make a nice runoff track here. So this is probably already enough track for the boats to lose all their speed. So yeah, from here let's just go and finish the track. Alright, I'm just going to give the ride a quick test just to see that I did these merges here correctly. Okay, these merges seem to work correctly. As you can see, the boat turns around here and then it exits here at a 90-degree angle. And then over here, it also seems to work correctly. If it doesn't work correctly, you may have to switch the order of these two track elements in the tile inspector. Alright, finally here we have the big drop. As you can see, the boats look a little bit wonky. They're angled a little bit weirdly, but yeah, since we don't have boats with other sprites at the moment, unless you use custom vehicles, I think this is acceptable. I'm also going to lower the wait time a bit, so guests aren't unnecessarily waiting behind the station here later when they arrive here at the station. Another good thing would maybe be to lower the amount of boats on this track a little bit. Alright, I think it's a good idea to already do a little bit of landscaping. Now, it's probably a good idea to have some water here, especially at the bottom of these drops. Maybe also a bit here in the middle, just so the park doesn't have to replenish all the water that splashes next to the track. So I'm just going to do a little bit of landscaping first. Alright, we can decorate this more later in the tutorial. For now, I'm going to focus on the station building, and I'm also going to make a little shack around these turntables. Right, I've made a little shack here. Now I don't want to redo all the scenery. Well, I don't want to have to rebuild all the scenery in the same way over here. So for that, there's a plugin we can use, which is the Scenery Manager plugin. And when you open it, you find this. So here I'm going to just filter small scenery and walls, since that's the only things that I want to copy, not the track. And I'm just going to select this area which this building sits in, including its walls. So we'll have to copy a bit of extra scenery there. And then if we copy it, you can see we can just copy this entire building. So if we do that, we should be able to just fit it over here. Alright, that looks really nice. So now we only have to make sure that these supports don't show through this scenery. So I'm just going to take these track elements and I'm just going to move them above this support structure and the steel block. So that should make them invisible. So you can just hold Control, select the track here, and with these arrows you can move it up. Or you could use hotkeys for that. Alright, these turnarounds are now nicely encased in a small building here, which I think looks pretty nice. And we also have a pretty cool looking station for the ride. It's nothing too fancy, but it's nice to see what you can achieve with just a building that's not completely a block and with a slightly more interesting roof shape than usual. It should be pretty easy for you to recreate something like this. Now, sometimes I like to beef up my track a little bit, so to make it look a little bit more thick. Now, I think actually this track already looks quite realistic. So if you don't want to, there's no need to change it. If you do want to beef it up a bit, let's go into cheats and select here allow building track at invalid heights. Make sure clearance checks are disabled. And then, for example, you could build some dinghy slide track under the current track. So it's going to select the dinghy slide track here. And we could just build it right under the track here. And you would then have to color it in probably in the same color scheme as the original track. But yeah, that way you could make it look a little bit more thick. You'd probably have to hide the supports of this track. And you could do it by moving it under surface. You shouldn't do it for the track that's above water though, or else it will glitch really badly. So for the track over here, if you want to hide the supports here, you could, for example, place a roof piece here. And then make sure that the roof piece is only above or only under the dinghy slide track. This is the dinghy slide track. and we would move the Log Flume track below the roof. So now the Log Flume track still shows its support, dinghy slide track doesn't. So you still get this nice and thick square column, and then for the roof piece you would just have to move it under the ground like so. But yeah, this is just to show you how you can beef up the track. I don't really think it's necessary. It also sometimes causes these boats to glitch. So yeah, it's a choice if you want to do it or not. I'm just going to remove this track again. Alright, with this entire track built, I'm just now going to make things look a little bit more pretty. Alright, and with that the Log Flume is now completed. It's nothing too fancy, pretty simple layout, but it is a nice way to fill up this area. And yeah, you can be pretty flexible with how you make a layout for a Log Flume in your park if you build one. It's pretty easy to come up with something nice. Now as for the decoration, I just put lots of foliage and some of these gardens on top of the water as well, and I think that actually makes for a pretty nice effect. Okay, now we've arrived at the point where I'm going to add another one of my patrons to the park as an entertainer. Alright, Johnson, thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon, it's truly appreciated. And I hope you enjoy your spot here in the park. You're now this dancing pirate here, right next to the Log Flume track. And if you're watching this video and you also would like to support my channel, you can find a link to my Patreon channel in the video description. Support is truly appreciated, and all of you will get a nice spot in the park. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. If this tutorial is useful for you, or if you simply enjoyed watching it, please like this video. It takes only a second to do and would really help out my channel. And let me know in the comments what you think of this video. And if you want to see more of these videos, you can always subscribe to my channel. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.